I then crossed over to the other side of my room near the door and once again stuck my ear to the wall. Alicia's snoring was quite audible. There was no way it was her. I slowly began to grow fearful as I turned in a last resort to see if Stephanie had perhaps gotten up. I could plainly see her resting, or almost rising up and down. A shiver went down my spine and I nearly screamed when I realized that footsteps had come to a stop outside of my door. Despite all the light being out, I could clearly see the looming dark shadow fall through the tiny crack in front of my foot of my door. I dared not move. Whatever it was just standing, waiting. Then to my horror, the doorknob began to slowly jiggle, gently at first, then growing violently at the realization of it being locked. The noises of it eventually woke my roommate. She sat up, blinking in confusion. That instant the jiggle of the doorknob stopped. She asked me just what the hell I was doing, if I knew what time it was. I told her it wasn't me. I told her that whatever had opened the door to the Crawlspace the previous day had come back. But she just burrowed her brow at me and said that I needed to get to sleep. The next day I made an appointment with my program supervisor. I told him that I just needed to go home. He tried to tell me that I was just homesick, that it would pass, but I insisted. He eventually gave up and let me call my parents. They were confused but understanding. They were able to change the date of my return flight for the following morning. I really wanted to get out of there that day, but understandably, that was the soonest they could manage. Unfortunately, this meant I would have to stay one more night in the apartment. When I returned, I tried to tell the others about what had been going on. I knew I was going to be getting out of there and would be out of danger. I was still immensely worried for their safety, but none of them took me seriously. They looked at me as if I was a madman. They didn't say anything, but I wasn't sure they all thought I was going home because some sort of mental breakdown. At that point, there was nothing I could say that would convince them. So that night I locked my door and hesitantly went to bed. And right on cue, once again, around 2 o'clock in the morning, I was awoken by the rapid footsteps. Scampering around the apartment, I could hear the door to the bathroom begin to creak open, followed by the door at the end of the hallway. Footsteps grew louder and faster as they moved through the apartment, and finally once more they came to a pause outside of my door. I could hear air breathing this time, slow and heavily. I sat in panic, and to my horror I saw that Stephanie had forgotten to lock the door behind her after getting up to use the restroom. It was right outside my door and I did not know if I had time to jump up and try to lock it before the thing realized there was nothing blocking its way. I hesitated a moment too long, and by the time I had sat up straight in my bed, the handle slowly began to turn. I froze in terror as the door cracked open, revealing my tormentor. It stood there, ominously in the doorway, staring me down. Its eyes oozed lightning from its skull, and gave off very faint blushes light. It didn't appear to have a nose, only slits where the nostrils all should have been. It had teeth even of a man, but had no lips, giving it the impression of an entire Ireland's two-piece snarl. Its greyish-white skin was waxy, scratched tight, high-tapered, bony face. The rest of its skeletal form was hard to make out, as it was almost entirely enveloped in shadow. At the pause for a moment in the doorway, it began to head toward me. As it moved, its body let it out thick in cracks. I sat there, still petrified by fear, until it had made its way to the foot of my bed. Its heavy breath was deafening out. Don't know how Stephanie slept through it. The air had begun to smell sour and something else. With frightening speed, it jolted to the other end of the bed, mere feet from me. I gagged at the smell of it, like sulphur and rotten flesh. Slowly it unfurled one of its long, garly hands and proceeded to reach for me. Not until it was several inches away did I finally find my voice. I screamed as loud as I possibly could. It halted in its tracks. Stephanie shot up from it. The creature hunched over on all fours and fled from the room with unsettling movements, and recalled those of the spider. A moment later, Stephanie switched on the light and looked at me furiously, demanding to know what the fuss was all about. I told her exactly what had happened. She just called me a nutcase. A taxi came to pick me up very early in the morning. The sun had not even risen by the time it arrived. Another girls came to see me off, but I expected this. After loading my luggage into the truck, I climbed into the back seat of the old cab. It had driven right through the square and was sitting at the base of my apartment. When I leaned to look out of the window, I could see where my room had been. My face contorted into a mixture of panic and concern. There, looking out of my old window, was the creature. Its unblinking eyes bored into me, and its lipless mouth curled into a snarling grin. Before I could say anything, the cab driver had taken me off, leaving the hell house far behind. I tried to warn them, I really did. I did everything in my power to try to warn them of the danger that they were in, but none of them listened to me. There was no way I could have stopped what happened after I returned home. You see, several people returned into the United States and received a phone call from the program's director, informed me that the day before the program ended, all three of my past roommates had been reported missing. The authorities had no idea just how long they had actually been gone for, as they were only recently discovered program director went to check on them after none of them had made it to the end of the program wrap-up meeting. He assumed it had been at least a week or two since all the food in the apartment was expired. There was no sign of forced entry, and no valuables were missing. The only noticeable detail mentioned in the report was that when they arrived on the scene, there was a strange little door hanging ajar in the back, and when they approached it, they were met with a powerful odor coming from no visible source. The official reports declared them as missing, but I know they were dead. I know that I'm incredibly lucky to have made it up with my own life. I think the only reason I'm still alive today is because I fled thousands of miles across an ocean, despite their unwillingness to steal an unimaginable amount of guilt over what happened to those girls. That's why I'm writing this now. I may not be able to go back in time and save them, but maybe I can prevent this from happening to you. Please heed my warning. If you ever get the opportunity to study abroad, keep this in mind. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And whatever you do, don't stay on the third floor of the ancient yellow apartment complex above the Campo di Fiore. There's something there, something evil.